It does.
Fade. Just married for business. That all sounds like a very trauma-based decision.
I know it requires a lot for me to feel safe with someone. It does. You know, I've been sexually assaulted twice. Part of the reason
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. This is your favorite dating and relationship coach. That we're talking to you guys about Jody and Never Ever Meets. But I want to say this first and foremost as a quick summary to start off the conversation. If you've ever felt in a place where you felt powerless, helpless, strangled, suffocated, weak in life, then this is going to be the video for you. Many a times people feel like they are choked, they are powerless, they are without strength in certain scenarios. And we get into our adult lives and we build a system that gives us power in order so we won't feel like a victim once more again. But many of us may not have gone through some of the trials and tribulations that Jody had gone through, right? Where she had been, unfortunately, sexually assaulted twice, right? Some of us may have, quote unquote, someone might say less trauma. But either way, we felt the feeling and the emotion of powerlessness. And whenever we feel those feelings, quintessentially, what will happen is we will end up building systems that give us power later on so we don't have to feel like that once more again. All right. And so many of our childhoods robbed us of our voice and of our power through circumstances. Either it was your parents weren't attentive to your emotions. You couldn't have conversations with your parents. Your parents were always shouting, screaming. Your parents over disciplined you with the belt or the beatings or whatever. Your parents weren't always physically present. You became a parent, a third parent in your household. You became maybe a surrogate husband or surrogate wife in the household. Your parents were enmeshing. They didn't respect your privacy. They assaulted you verbally, sexually, physically, financially, and that could be friends around you growing up. That can be family too, etc. Right? But you would have grown up in an environment where something has happened where it's robbed you of your voice and it's robbed you of your power. And like Jody, she now looks at marriage in a very warped way, but also looks at relationships in a very warped way. And I'll explain that in a second. She's built herself a world and a system that gives her power. You know how we know that? Because the gentleman that she's got chasing and orbiting around her, wanting her affection, is not getting a chance with her, really and truly. She's built up very high walls and very strict boundaries, and seemingly there is no pathway to him actually getting closer to her heart, right? They connect on a creative level, but they don't connect on a romantic level. So then why are we still doing this? Well, it's because she's built up a world where a system, she can actually have power. And in the relationship between herself and Aaron, who would you say has power? She has power over him because he's constantly chasing and never attaining, right? She chose a man who bends to her will and she has control over, and she has a voice and she has power in that relationship. We saw how she spoke to him several times within the show, but we also saw how when he did violate her boundaries, how she also spoke to him as well, right? She had the power to do so because she's built a world where he can exist in it, where she has power and she has a voice. And because those two things were robbed from her as a child and as a growing adult, boundaries and sovereignty are so important. And when we can't have those things, we tend to try and build systems that will help defend us later on so we don't have to go through those things. Some people build very wild systems. Some people will literally sabotage themselves. They'll make themselves fat and obese. Some people will harm themselves so they're not liked by other people. Some people are they shrivel up and they lack confidence because they don't want no one to see them, right? Whatever it is, there's several ways that we can do things that will make sure that we have some level of power and control in our life. Is this what you're going through, maybe? Is this what you're also going through? Is it something you're suffering with? And so what does a system actually mean? Well, a system is a set of things working together as a part of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. A set of procedures or set of principles or procedures according to which something is done and organized. I like the first one. A set of things working together as part of a mechanism or interconnected network. All right, and a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done and organized. Well, in relationships, sometimes we set ourselves a set of principles and procedures in the way that we're going to operate. Like, for instance, marriage is a business, and it's a way of protecting ourselves so that we don't get hurt in the long run. All right. So we're going to go a little bit deeper in this video. But before we do, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. If you want the issue of talking about powerlessness and losing your voice and regaining it and regaining power in the most appropriate way, the healthy way, this is going to be the video for you. We're going to explain a little bit about that a little bit later on as the video goes on as well. All right. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. And don't forget, we are doing coaching around this. So please do reach out to myself. If this is something of a topic that's actually, speaking to you right now, then reach out to myself. My coaching link is in the description box down below. We are booked up to July, but better to get on it now than to wait a little bit longer again. Okay, all right. We booked like the Apple Store. Okay, all right. Listen, let's get a little bit deeper into this. I really want to be able to break some stuff down. Hopefully, bring some light to the situation as well. So let's get into this video. Let's get
deeper.
I decided to study sex was because guess what? I can understand it.
You want to control it too, right?
I can control it.
You have to have this control because, one, you're concerned that no relationship may really give you the love that you feel like you deserve.
So, as I said, she is using sex and intimacy as a way of control, but not just control, protection. I like that word, protection. She protects herself by having control over the sexual boundaries, the physical boundaries, the emotional intimacy boundaries. And when she chooses a man like Aaron who can't necessarily break those boundaries in a sense of the power dynamics between the two of them, she seems to have more power. What it does allow for her to do is maintain the control of her sense of self. And so she now retains her safety. And so unfortunately, Aaron loses out. And her safety also comes with a dismissiveness of her own emotions and her own needs. And when you see that, it's quite painful to see because as soon as Aaron gets close, she's going to pull away again. Right? So she's going to want the engagement, but as soon as it gets close, she's going to pull away again. Don't give me too much lovey-dovey because although she wants it, she pulls away. And it's very much... This is very much in alignment more with attachment style fearful avoidance. I've been studying them a little bit more and they are very intriguing. Fearful avoidance are very intriguing because they carry both the avoidancy and the anxiousness. So as soon as you get close to them, they become avoidant. But as soon as you pull away, they become anxious. This is why Aaron's still locked in and they become addictive because the party who's involved sees opportunity when it grows, but then sees them pulling away, right? So they get closer and they pull away. But then when they pull away, themselves, they pull them back in again with their anxiousness. And so you're almost trapped in this vortex of this person's life. But again, going back to what Jody's talking about, her powerlessness and the voicelessness, whenever you're in a space where you've been robbed, right, you feel like you haven't got a voice. Why? Because you were told you don't have a voice. Through the behaviors and actions of being sexually assaulted, probably in childhood neglect, through the fact of watching your mum go through a marriage that was maybe not the most loving marriage, and she seemingly couldn't get her needs and her wants met, and you witnessed it, and you saw it, and you told yourself, it can never be me. And then, you got to do something in order to make sure that you have a voice in a relationship. But if you don't know a healthy balance, what ends up happening is what Jody's doing right now. You keep a man in orbit, but you're never really going to give him a chance. He kiss, you have a kiss, but you don't feel no spark. You understand sex, but you're not sexing him. And so now this relationship becomes almost as friendship, but you say it's more than a friendship because you're afraid of giving any more power to the situation than you've already given, right? And that's quite a painful situation to have to come from. And because she didn't see how love, because she saw how love didn't win. The Bible says that faith, love, and hope are these three things. The most powerful is love, right? And because it will remain. But it's so powerful because what she witnessed was a breakdown in that love and it not being able to conquer all. And so when you see that love can't conquer all, you have an idea about love. It's become now a business. But the reality was her actual problem is within self. Let's listen.
Because you deserve love. You deserve to wholeheartedly be loved by somebody.
Oh, I was gonna cry.
You deserve it.
And that is quintessentially the narrative that needs to be broken. Okay, the voicelessness is coming from the fact you don't believe you deserve to have a voice. You don't believe that you have power because your experiences have told you you have no power. And listen, don't get it twisted. In your experiences, it has been shown. And what you can tell me is a story, your narrative. You'll tell me a story where you had no power and no voice. And it's very true at that time. But now you as an adult, now as a fully grown, understanding yourself more, having more control of the environment and the places that you are going and seeing and depositing and interactions you're having, you do have power. You do have a power, and the definition of power here is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. Okay, the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. See, she has power now over Aaron. She's able to direct and influence his behavior. She has the ability to do something and act in a particular way, and she doesn't realize it because of what her experiences are. And so her narrative, the Bible says in James that our tongue can be like poison. The words that have been spoken in her mind are circulating like it's going around Jericho. And the Bible says that, a man that has no control of his spirit, right? And a man that's had his walls broken has no control of his spirit. And so you feel this brokenness because your walls have been broken. And so the voice and the narrative that tells you we're not good enough, we don't deserve it, right, comes from a place of being robbed of your sovereignty and your boundaries, and being robbed of the emotional connection that you deserved, probably from a very young individual. And so now you're telling yourself this awful narrative. It's a lie and a deception of the enemy and a deception of what you've experienced, that you don't deserve love, you don't deserve a care, you don't deserve someone to appreciate you, you don't deserve these things. And so what ends up happening is you have that voice going on, and then in your other side of you, you want those things, but you don't know how to get it, right? So you passively aggressively maneuver in manipulation. Right? You move in a space where now you control a dynamic in a relationship where it's just you winning and you attaining. But actually, you're not winning because you're not actually really getting the love that you deserve. The love that you want, you're not getting it. And so that's why I say I relate it back to attachment style, fearful avoidant, because fearful avoidants really do want that love, right? They really do. But they're so restricted because of the fact that they're both anxious and avoidant. They're simultaneously wanting, yet simultaneously fearful. And so they're almost paralyzed, a deer in headlights. But you don't realize it's because there's a narrative in your head saying you don't deserve to be loved. You don't deserve to be cared for. So you find yourself in situations where you're repeating that narrative into an action. You're in a relationship where you're not getting the love you require. You're in a relationship, you're not getting your needs met. You're in a relationship where your wants are not being met. You may have power, right, control over that person, but you don't have the love that you require. Now, we can go a little bit deeper in this, but that requires coaching, and you can't do that on this video here. So if you're going through something like this, I really want you guys to, first and foremost, like, share, subscribe, but then reach out to me. Man, this is the kind of stuff that we're doing with clients on a daily basis. We're working through these instances, okay? The powerlessness and the voicelessness is going to make sure that your needs are not going to be met, and I want them to be met in this lifetime. And you don't need to wait 100 years to do that. So, I mean, we ain't got 100 years, but, you deserve to have your needs met. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be careful, but we've got to uproot that voice and uproot those words. That's a stronghold that we must remove. And the Bible says that our weapons of warfare are not carnal, they're mighty for the pulling down of what? Strongholds. Appreciate you guys. Still up, so we'll see you again soon. We'll again talk a little bit later.